All right, here we go. We have studio co-op 145's own Binkz in the building. How are you doing today, man?
What's poppin'? How's it going? How you feeling?
Doing all right, man. Thank you for coming by to TOBi for the very first time and all that. I took a listen like at your debut project. Give Me 2 minutes. I like the styling of it, and I like the incorporation of how like almost every song is like 2 minutes in that sense too. And like your other singles so far have been like good so far with Gather Round, Vibes in the Air, and all that. Side Piece, Hotter Than Ever, and Let's Go and all that. So it's pretty dope singles from there. And then you know, we reached out like a while back, like after like the JD interview for a bit too. So it was kind of interesting in that sense.
Yeah, appreciate it, yo. Appreciate it. I just trying to keep the grind going. Just trying to keep working. Dropping all these projects,
Yeah, almost.
dropping all these.
Yeah, and nah, most definitely. You also played like a pivotal part like in this co-op as well too. Like from our conversation like earlier too. So like I do definitely want to like get on that like so far for a bit too. So like even within conversation. So
All right, man. Can dive into that. Can dive into that whenever you're ready.
all right, man. So let's get it started for a bit. So you were born in the Greater Toronto area. That's correct.
Actually, born in Brampton, to be specific, Brampton, Ontario. I'm a Bramptonian, B-Town. I call it the Big B now. So, yeah, born in Brampton, 905-416. You already know.
Yeah, no, most definitely. So, growing up in Brampton, like, what was like the environment like for you growing up? Would you say like your childhood was like very blessed back then, or would you say it was like very different?
I would say it's different. Growing up in Brampton, it's like I could say it was very much so friendship based, as in like it was friendship driven. There's a lot of friendships going on in all different angles, all different grades, all that stuff. Different races and stuff. So I wouldn't say it's different from anybody that grew up in Brampton, Toronto, or Canada for that, but it was interesting. Interesting for sure.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And I know Brampton back then they had like a lot of like unique artists from Tory Lanez to like Alicia Cara and all that to like Ras Fresco to like like the just not just Rain but like the twins and all that like Jermaine and I think Entre, yeah. So
A couple of those people you named on the list, like they're my peers. I crossed paths with them throughout my music career, even before that, like when I was in high school. There's another artist that you never mentioned. I don't know if you know him yourself. That's TOBi.
yeah, TOBi's like also unique too. Big Juice. I recently had like on the thing a while back too, like with the interview, and then I've heard like also like a lot of like upcoming acts like Lil Bandcamp, Nessia, Dr. Bushman. So it's kind of like unique too in that sense. So
Yeah, there's a lot of artists out here, a lot of talent. And I like to see it. I like to hear it. We're just building the city, building the community, and we want to get stronger. Strength in numbers for sure.
yeah, most definitely. But Brampton back then was it well known as like an industry and back then for music or just
Definitely not. Brampton was definitely not known for the music. For me, I started late. I started when I was 21. I'm 30 this year, so it's like even for me, I jumped into it late. And back then, it wasn't even like where it is now. And before that, when I was in high school, there was the artists here and there, the handful. But from where it is now to back then, it's a big difference, as you can tell.
yeah,
All
no,
over the world.
yeah, no, most definitely, man. And what was like your first like introduction to music growing up? Like, did you say like you played it like at the home like for a bit too, or was it something that you found out like while you were like going out for a bit?
I mean, it depends on how far we're going back. Like, I look at it like we all grew up around music. I grew up on music for sure. 106 Park, MTV, VH1, all those channels. I grew up on that. But when I took music serious, I would say like I said, it was around 21. And prior to that, I was in high school watching a handful of my peers. They're into music, like TOBi. There's an artist called Lodovico Stunna, Shane, that's Fab with a PH. There's a bunch of artists that I looked up to growing up, not really knowing I wanted to do music, but like later on down the line, I ended up doing it, and that I give a lot of credit to those guys because I was just a fly on the wall watching them. So, and now I'm here, put it on for the city, put it on for the community, in a major way.
Yeah, no, most definitely. So like even like within like that whole sense of music, were your family like very like involved like in music in that sense too? Like I don't know if there was like a musical background in history like at the home at the time, or like your family was it like were they like kind of like indifferent to like the idea of music at the time?
Not necessarily. I grew up with my mother. She had her share of boyfriends, but not necessarily was something we grew up around. I grew up around. My mom, growing up, she liked music a lot. You know, Run DMC, Mary J. Blige. That's her era. She used to go to a lot of concerts a lot. You know, and that trickled down, I guess, to a bit to her kids. I have a brother and a sister. My sister goes to concerts by herself. She goes to concerts a lot too, and me, and I just took on that music role. You know, the whole package. Instead of going to concerts, you know, I put it on the concert. So I wouldn't say it was a strong influence in the family, but it was there enough where it brought me here. You know, I took what I can and I'm making something out of it. You know.
Yeah. And you know, even in your position right now, so what inspired you to become like a rapper and an artist in that sense?
A lot of things inspired me. My peers, where I've came from, where I want to go. But there's something like that always sticks with me. I would just say like really inspires me or really motivates me and pushes me is just like, you know, I know I have places to be and people to see. So I always say that to myself, and that inspires me in a way where it's like new people that I meet is like it's for a reason, you know. And I feel like if I wasn't doing music, I wouldn't really like have the chance or get the opportunity to meet them because we all met up in this one industry, you know. And I'm grateful for all of that. So it's like little interactions like that inspire me, you know, like everyday life inspires me, from everyday humans, you know. It doesn't take a lot to push me, you know.
Yeah, no, most definitely, man. And you know, you talked a lot about like how like people around you, like your peers, like influenced you, like in that sense too, like with the music stuff. But were there like musical artists or genres like outside of that realm that influenced you, like in your music? And
My favorite artist ever, if you know me, my favorite artist ever is Lil Wayne. Before that was 50 Cent, you know. So after Lil Wayne, it was Jizzy, and then after Jizzy, it was more like Dej Loaf, Young Thug, Future type vibe. So those are my inspirations in a whole. Like if you have to take in my music, that's like me in a nutshell. So I'll go down the line: Future, Jizzy, Lil Wayne, Dej Loaf, 50 Cent, and Jizzy. You know, so those are my inspirations for this music thing. If we're talking celebrity-wise, you know.
no, most definitely. Now, like a lot of the names like you kind of like listed, you know, like are very like impactful in terms of like the sound today. So, like even with Lil Wayne and all that, you know. So, do you think like he's still like the goat of all time in that sense too? Like even with the legacy that he's built today, or would you say that there's like a new goat like in the building in that sense too?
If you know me again, I'm gonna always fend for Lil Wayne. He is definitely the GOAT today. It's like, you know, if you understand where music is today and where it once was, obviously it changed. It changes, like they say, every 3 to 5 years, you know, the sound. But Lil Wayne is definitely the GOAT today. It's just not the sound that we want to hear, but if you go back and listen to something that he dropped, I'm pretty sure last week or last month, he's saying some hot shit, you know?
Yeah.
He's always saying some hot shit. He's always saying shit that people can't say because they haven't done the things Lil Wayne done, you know?
Yeah, no, most definitely. Would you say like the mixtapes were like what made him today and all that, or more so like the albums? Because
It's the mixtapes. Definitely the mixtapes. It's the amount of stuff he put out, like in that period of time. Like that's what I feel music is. It's like you just have to put out music. It's like not everybody's gonna like one song you put out, so might as well put out 6. You know, put out 10. You know, not everybody's gonna like the one song. So you want to give the people multiple things to choose from. And Lil Wayne did that. Not only with singles, he did that with mixtapes, and then he'll dabble on the features, and then he'll dabble on the albums, and then he'll make his appearance in your videos, like, and then he had the drip. So it's like, it's everything. But I say like, it was more so the mixtapes for Lil Wayne personally. Yeah.
most definitely, man. In terms of you, who are some artists that you'd like to work with, like someday, like music wise, that you haven't worked with before?
Are we talking in the city or in the world?
Honestly, anywhere, you know, like it could be like city wise, or it could be like around like the world and all that and all that. Just
Well, we're gonna go to the world first, and then we'll go to the city, cause that's where I look. I have a bigger vision, you know. So go to the world. Everybody that I named that I'm inspired by: Lil Wayne, Drake, Dej Loaf, Young Thug, Free Young Thug, Future, you know, and Weezy. So it's like those guys for sure. Those guys for sure. And if we're gonna go to the city, there's a few artists that I want to work with, but like you know, the city is really political.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give a straight answer because I want to work with a little bit more females in the city. Um, G Lundo, she's an artist I would want to work with. Havaya Mighty, she's another artist I would want to work with. There's a few. They're just not coming to my head, but definitely females. Like if I'm gonna work with anybody in the city right now, I'll work with like some females and you know make some great music. You know?
Yeah, no, most definitely, man. No, I mean, Goldie London's like very hard, like in that sense too. Lola Buns too, and the Nessia, like also, yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, no, most definitely, man. You know, I want to talk about like your recent like debut project because like I think this is like the first project that you've had like on streaming services. So, give me 2 minutes. So, what was like the creative process and inspiration for that project?
Give me 2 minutes. Well, self-explanatory from the title. You know, it's like that's a saying everybody says. Like you know, just give me a minute. Give me 2 minutes. You know, so it was one of those. It just came to me one day. I was like, yo, I have all these songs I'm sitting on. Might as well just give my supporters what they've been asking for in abundance, you know? I already know everybody's attention span is not where it once was. So I was like, you know, let me just chop all these songs to 2 minutes and see what it can do. Give them like a playlist mix type of vibes, like SoundCloud type of vibes, you know? So that was my little inspiration in it and made the cover art myself. Did everything myself. Shout out Days, he actually cut the songs for me, you know, but other than that, I did everything myself and just put it out there for the people, and I'm getting good feedback. So I wish, you know, I hope everybody go tune into that. It's on streaming platforms right now. Give me 2 minutes. So if you haven't taken that in, go take that in right now.
Yeah.
Do a little part in that drop.
Yeah, no, most definitely, man. And you know, I know that you've already asked this like before too. So, why is it the song count? Like you know, like for every song, like why is like the song like every like 2 minutes, like exactly like 2 minutes in that sense?
I just thought it was cool. Like the title came to my head, give me 2 minutes, and I had all these songs. Like some of them were a little bit over 2 minutes, or some of them were like, you know, just like the song was done at 2 minutes. The song was done at 2 minutes, and then I just like faded it out. So it's like, I don't know. I just thought it was cool. You know, give me 2 minutes. It was just a little concept, a little, you know, a little theme. So I just put it out there.
So, you know, I want to talk about your creative process right now for music. So, what is your creative process like when making music, and what would a day in making music be like for you?
My creative process is very simple, you know. I'm an everyday person. I just go off the vibes in the air, like, you know. One day I wake up like this, I might make a song like that. One day I may wake up like that, make a song like this, you know. So it's one of those. My creative process is just going with the flow, the vibes in the air. Some days I'm feeling myself, and you know, I'll probably do something a little different, like, but nothing too out of my character. So for the most part, my creative process is, I wouldn't say it's too extreme, just going with the vibes and the mood of the day, you know?
Yeah, no, most definitely, man. And you know, I want to talk about like your other singles right now, such as like "Gather Round," "Vibes in the Air," "Side Piece," "Hotter Than Ever," and like "Let's Go." Because you know, when we first linked up, like those songs were like just on your platform for a bit. So, what were like the creative processes and like the inspirations for the singles?
A lot of those singles that you named I actually made those a long time ago. I would say like early 2016 was when I made a couple of those songs. I just released it a little bit late because it was like a fan favorite at the time, you know. People were asking me how come those are not on all platforms. So I just scraped up the cover art, made them myself, and just threw them up there for my peers, you know?
Yeah, no, most definitely, man. And you know, like what's interesting too in that sense too is like even with the stage name, you know, with Binkz for a bit too, but you also go by Bi as well. Like that's correct.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Binkz, BI is just short for Binkz, you know? Just take out the NKZ and you're left with BI, you know? It's just about evolving, you know? My name got shortened throughout my career a few times, so it was once something else, then I went to Binkz, and now it's BI. So you can call me whatever and those two, B.I. Binkz. If you want to know my real name, I don't know how you're gonna get to that.
Nah, most definitely, man. Did you have like any other like stage names before that in that sense too, or?
Stage name, like I said, I was a late bloomer, so my stage name was actually my nickname before I even started making music. You know, something I got in high school. You know, so it's something I had for a minute, and I was like, I thought it was unique. I never heard nobody with it, and I just brought it to the stage. You know, so
Yeah.
Binkz Bi, that's my stage name.
No, most definitely, man. And you know what's also interesting too in that sense, you know, like we're shooting at the same location as like the JD interview, and like even with this affiliation right here with Co-op 145 and all that. And all. So you know, you actually play like a pivotal part, like in the corporation and even with the studio too. So tell me how you managed to work and become affiliated with Studio 145, and what was that experience like working with them and establishing like a solid like relationship, music and business wise?
I got introduced from a mutual. We had a mutual, DJ Wavy. He told me to come to the studio. He'd been telling me for a few years, and then one day I just picked up and I came over here, and I just liked the vibes of it. Everything was cool. You know, he was showing me the ropes, showing me the workshops that they have, introducing me to a few people, telling me a few workshops I should go to, and I was just taking initiative and, you know, just coming here, and I just built a relationship with a handful of people here, you know, and they welcomed me with open arms, you know, and from there we just been rocking, you know. They're my tugs, 145 zombies, you know, the co-op, like, you know, I came into this, they had a vision, I had a vision, I seen their vision was similar to mine, and without really even asking if we could work together, it just clicked, you know. So shout out the tugs, 145 zombies, co-op, Park 119, Goat Club. It's done now.
Exactly, man. And like you're part in like like you know with the teachings and everything else too, because you're also like teaching some of the students and helping them out. So is it more so within like the songwriting side or with the mixing engineering side, or like what's like that part that you play like in that sense?
There's a bunch of us that help out the students, and I'm an artist first. Me coming here, I learned a lot of stuff myself, and I learned it, I would say late. To me, it was late that I learned this stuff. So the students that come in here, I don't want them to learn the stuff as late as I did, you know? So I'm not necessarily like teaching them how to engineer or teaching them how to write or anything. I'm just guiding them and making sure they engineer and making sure they write, you know? That's where, make sure you stick on that and make sure you get better at that, you know? Because it's easy to get distracted and it's easy to just fall off the rails without even knowing, you know? That's what I would say. My generation, a lot of people in my generation, my peers, that's what it was. Like we only had each other, you know. We didn't really have anybody that understood what we wanted to do or what we could do as young entrepreneurs, young inspired artists, you know. So I just look at it like that. I don't really want the students that come over here, that come through this co-op, to go through what I went through, you know.
Yeah.
Shout out all the students. Shout out my dog Mo, the real mids, you know. Shout out all the students, all my little zombies. You already know who you are.
Yeah, most definitely. So it's kind of more so like an each one teach one perspective in that sense.
Each one teach one, big brother, boys and girls club, whatever you want to call it, bro. After school program, whatever you want to call it. We need guidance, you know. The youth needs guidance, you know. That's just what it comes down to. Not no guidance counselor at your school that doesn't really care. They're there for the shift. You need the real life guidance. Like, okay, you want to do music. Okay, make sure you get your soul can together, you know. Make sure you're promoting your stuff at school, in high school, because this is a very important time where it's like you can go viral, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. And aside from that, what were like some things that you've learned from the co-op that you would like to share, like aside from like what you said before?
I learned a lot from the co-op. So like I said, I learned engineering. That's something big for me as an artist, as somebody that wants to be a role model, an inspiration for other people. Like that's something I feel like you needed to know. And not to say I didn't take initiative, but I didn't really put my best foot forward until I got to 145, and they showed me without even really showing me, you know. That's just what they wanted to do. It was just easy to learn here, you know. It was just easy to learn from people like Phil Knox and Days and 2K Magic and JD. It was just easy to learn from them because they love the craft just as much as I did. They put in their time here. Every time I was here, they were here, and I was here a lot. You can ask any of them. From I found this place, I never stopped coming here, you know? And so it's like, the stuff I learned is like engineering, like working as a community, like understanding like how to help the community without taking from the community, you know?
Yeah.
So that's something I learned. Like those are two big things. That the community part you could take to the world, and the engineering part you could take to the industry. So it's like those are two big things that really, you know.
Yeah, no, exactly, man. Yeah, no, most definitely. And we just have these couple questions out right now. So, how do you feel about the Toronto GTA music scene right now at the moment? Do you feel that there should be some changes on the direction of where the scene should go to, or do you feel like it's fine the way it is?
I mean, what's getting the promotion right now is not only in Toronto. It's the drill, the rah-rah, whatever. That's not only Toronto. I would say music in a whole needs to go in a new direction. But in the same breath, there's a lot of music out here. You just gotta, if you want to hear something different, just go look for it, you know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that the direction's horrible because of what's getting the most views or what's getting the clout. I wouldn't say that's the direction. Or if it is the direction, I wouldn't say that's a bad direction. It's just like, as a consumer, if you want to be a consumer, go get what you want to go find what you want to listen to, you know?
Yeah.
It's out there. You know, you don't always just have to listen to drill. If you don't want to listen to drill, you don't have to listen. There's the lo-fi, there's the conscious music out there. There's just not getting the media as the drill artist is, but that doesn't mean it. That means they need you.
Yeah.
You know, to get that extra push to the media, they need that artist. So just take that extra, however it longs to search for music, to go search music you really want to hear.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I definitely agree too because, I think Rolling Loud, I think it played a pivotal part in helping out some of these artists too because there were artists like Don Valley and Tara Lord and, also Goldie London, like Lola Buns and then Hawaii Mighty and then Tia Banks that actually performed at Rolling Loud as well too. So, like, even with the whole, like, academics, like, live stream that happened, just like last year, and, with Rolling Loud that happened, and, like, the whole, like, Keeps It Solid, like, clubhouses, do you feel like it shed more light, like, on Toronto, like, in that sense, too, for, like, a lot of the artists and, like, even with the scene in general?
Definitely did. It definitely did. I'm not going to take away from any of those platforms that came and gave us a chance once and for all, you know? Like, before any of these platforms came and gave us as artists a chance, what were we getting, you know? So it's like, I'm never going to bash any of these platforms that reach out to us, even if they are using us in their eyes. But to me, they're not using us. They're giving us a platform, something that we've been longing for, you know?
Yeah.
Rolling Loud, DJ Academics, Keeps It Solid. These guys are out here for the community in a sense, you know?
Yeah. No.
It's just like everybody, everywhere else. Like everybody has their own community, and they're just trying to help their community by reaching out to us, and we're supposed to maneuver it, to help our community. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah. So most definitely. Before we get into this like last question, I just want to like affirm this question. So you actually went to high school with TOBi, that's correct, and like a lot of like other artists too as well. So how were people like TOBi like or like some of the artists that you've mentioned were like at like during like high school like before the fame, and were you like ever like astounded or happy that they've actually like grown to like the artists that they were before like even.
I'm definitely happy for TOBi. That's my brother. I actually knew him before we got to high school. We actually were in Army cadets with each other. I was a cadet back when I was a little younger, and we met there. Then we ended up going to the same high school, and he was just an artist. Like he was just. We had a booth where we would freestyle. Artists would come and freestyle and rap, and people would skip class to hear other artists rap, and there would be rap battles and stuff. This is back in 06, 07, 08, 09, you know, them times. So it's like, man, like TOBi, like, there was not one time somebody asked him to rap and he didn't, and there's not one time he said no. And this is for 4 years. And there was a time every Friday he would rap, like, for like a year straight, 2 years. So it's like, I look at people like that, it's like, him, he's a good guy, like, you know, and for him to sometimes skip some of his class to make us happy, you know what I'm saying, the consumers at the school, us, he would skip his own class to rap for us, you know.
Yeah.
And now he's at where he's at, so I give him his glories all the time. Like, that's somebody that to me, he's a GOAT. Yeah, that's a GOAT in my eyes, you know. Like, he oh yeah, like TOBi put me on my first stage ever, like, you know, the first time I ever performed, he was performing back in the days. I would say this is probably 2014, 15. He was performing, and you know, he put me on his set. He let me get one of my records off back when I first started making music. First time I ever performed. So I'm always gonna pay homage to TOBi. You know?
Yeah, most definitely.
Tech rhymes, if you know.
How do you feel about like that whole like legendary rap battle between him and Tory Lanez back then?
Tory Lanez, I was in the middle of all that, believe it or not, like, you know, and I was loyal to who I'm loyal to, you know. But nowadays I'm deeper into music than I once was. You know, I was a consumer, I was a fan back then. Like I told you, I started late. And the relationship I had back then, I was like 15, 16, 17. So their feud, I was in the middle of it, you know, for the good or the bad. But now that I'm deeper into music and I appreciate it more and I cherish it more, I look at it like I look at it like back then I was quite immature, because I would try to pick sides, and really and truly there was no side to pick. We're all in the industry. We should all be working together. But back then we were young and dumb and trying to get where we are today. So it's like, you know, Tory Lanez and TOBi, that feud was legendary in Brampton. That was a legendary feud, and I'm proud to say I was in the middle of it. I'm proud to say that I was a part of both of those artists' lives. And it, like I said, if we're talking about inspiration, you can't get any more inspired than that, you know? I was in the middle of Tory Lanez's career, like in the beginning of it, and TOBi, you know, I was there. I seen these guys rap. I seen these guys go head to head. Like, I seen a lot, you know, but at the same time, I want to give credit where credit's due to both Tory Lanez and TOBi. Both GOATs, both from the city, and both doing their thing, and you know, I'm gonna see them at the top for sure. Gang.
Yeah, man. Likewise. So for this last question, what's next for you, like for the end of the year, in terms of other creative projects and so forth? And do you have any final words you'd like to say for any creative or any person out there pursuing their dreams?
I have a lot to say for the creatives pursuing their dreams, but first, I'm gonna let you know that Give Me 2 Minutes is out now, so if you haven't listened, to go give that shit a listen. It's on all platforms, Binkz Music, 2 C's on music. I have a track tapping in, a single that I'm dropping with JD and the Go Club production. We should have a video coming soon. It's in the works. Also, I'm dropping a couple of videos off of Give Me 2 Minutes. But for the artists on the grind never stops. You can break up with anything and anybody, but you can't break up with the grind, you know? So with that being said, never give up, you know what I'm saying? If you want to reach me and you want to talk more about this music thing, if you want to get involved in the Co-op 145, reach out to me on all platforms. It's BINKZ Music with 2 C's. Just don't give up, man. I know it sounds cliche, but just, you can't give up. I'm not where I want to be right now, but I can tell you this much: I'm not giving up until I get there or I see my peers there. And that's just the truth. That's just the thrill of it all. That's the excitement. Just never giving up. You know, everybody we know today that we look up to, listen to in headphones, watch on TV, on the computer, the difference is they never gave up, bro. Their time just came. Sometimes come faster than others, but they just never gave up. So that's just what it is. You break up with everything, but you can't break up with the grind. Progress over perfection. You feel me?
Yeah. No, most definitely, man. Binkz, thank you for just sharing your wonderful story, your journey, and like with everything else so far too, and even just like with your, audition and like your role like on Studio Co-op 145 and all that. It's amazing to see, and like just even with the whole TOBi and Tory Lane story, it's very interesting from your story to their story to everything else too. I just manifest everything for the best, for you, for the co-op, everything else too, and only ways up.
Appreciate you, man. This was a great interview. I appreciate you coming down here and connecting with me. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of artists on Co-op 145, so pretty sure you're gonna have your hands full in the new year.
Yeah, no, most definitely, man. Until next time.
For sure. Gang.
Peace, man.